And we're back. Rin leads me outside to the wall behind the dormitories. There's a small back gate there, made from the same wrought iron as the main gate. It leads to the shadowy woodland park behind the school. The gate is rusty, as if it hadn't seen much use. However, it sits open, so we pass through. It's not forbidden for students to leave the grounds, but somehow I feel a little uneasy. A path leads deeper into the forest. Tall Zelkova and maple trees rustle in the wind, their canopies creating patches of chill air hanging in the places where the shadows fall. The forest smells strongly of earth. I almost feel cold, even though the midsummer day is as hot as ever. Rin trudges ahead like a sleepwalker, sure-footed, but with no apparent destination in mind. Her thoughts seem to be somewhere else. I follow a few steps behind, taking more care to watch where my feet land. The path follows the land uphill at a low angle, sometimes making little detours downhill before climbing back upward. The muted brown and gray trunks line the path on both sides, peppered with ferns and other undergrowth. After a little while I start getting worried. The path is still wide and clear, so there's no chance of getting lost, but it doesn't look like we have any particular destination. There's something wrong. There's nothing wrong with a bit of aimless wandering around, but I don't want to go so far that I get too tired to walk back. I'm starting to get a little winded and my legs feel heavy. I want to stop and get a chance to catch my breath and rest my legs, but Rin keeps on going. Where are we going, or are we going anywhere at all? Worry tree. I see. So what exactly is the worry tree? It's just a tree, like this. She stops in front of a particularly large maple that might or might not be the worry tree. Its lush green leaves sway lightly in the breeze blowing through the small clearing we entered. I guessed as much. There are people who believe that you must come here to wallow in misery if you are miserable. Only by people, I mean me, and the tree isn't really called anything. So, if you're miserable, you talk to a tree about it? No? What? You can't talk to trees. What do you think I am, crazy? No, I didn't mean it like that. Or maybe you talk to trees. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that you are crazy, even though you probably are if you talk to trees. I wouldn't recommend it in either case. People will think you're a weird person. No, just forget it. She looks mildly confused, for which I don't blame her at all. She tilts her head a little to the side, expression melting back to her usual one. Alright, I'm good at forgetting things. So why are we here? Are you miserable then? I can't read the expression she makes. I hate how bad I am at interpreting Rin's mood. She doesn't answer right away, as if she herself isn't quite certain of her own mood. The blank stare changes into a more difficult expression as she shuffles her weight around. Finally, coming to a conclusion, Rin shrugs her shoulders. I've grown to seriously dislike that gesture. It doesn't mean anything. Maybe. I just feel kind of like I'm sinking underwater. I don't know what I should do. I don't know where I should go, that's all. Maybe it's not a big deal, but I thought walking might help. Kind of like if I go somewhere, I would know where I should go. I don't really know if it did. It really would have made sense if walking had helped to decide where to go. So you don't want to try and get an exhibition? Or rather, you don't know if you do? Can't decide? Rin doesn't say anything for a while, arranging her thoughts in silence. The quiet is broken by bird song from somewhere in the treetops, followed by rustling leaves as the bird takes flight. Maybe. I'm not sure if I can have a thing like that. So far I've only painted for myself. I don't think I could have my things on display the way I am now. This me couldn't do it. Her reason sounds like a weak excuse. I make my trademark frown, but she doesn't notice it. I don't get it. The teacher certainly thinks you could. I don't think he'd suggest it otherwise. Sounds like he's calling in favors from his friends, too. I know, he's really done a lot for me, but this might be too much. Becoming someone who can do it might be pretty hard. Maybe I couldn't do it at all. He can't do it for me, and if I let him try, I just sink deeper and deeper. Rin stands in front of the large maple and turns away from me. I want to close the few feet of distance between us, and I don't know. My irritation is suddenly gone, and I start feeling sympathetic to her. I know exactly how you feel. Well, maybe I don't, but still. I think I haven't felt like I was actually in control of my own life this whole year. I'm just helplessly going along with the flow. Like coming here to this school, I didn't really choose it myself, and I certainly didn't choose this time of my life to learn that I have this condition. I still can't casually say that word aloud. It's like, yeah, it's like being underwater, like I can't even breathe. Rin turns to face me again, a sad expression on her face. Is that why you look so sad all the time? I don't want to look sad like you. Do I look to you like you look to me? I don't look sad all the time. I just don't know what I should be feeling. What kind of face should I be making? Me neither. Do I look sad now? Not really. You look like you always do, I think. You just... Didn't you... There's a sad expression on her face. It says it right there. He just thought it to herself, and now he's like, not really, you look like you always do. But I'm sinking. I should try to float up like a rubber duck, quack quack, all yellow and creepy. I have to think for a few seconds about which direction I should pursue in this conversation, then I realize it doesn't matter. You think rubber ducks are creepy. You don't? I think they look very creepy. Everything that has eyes but isn't alive is very disturbing, like rubber ducks and reflections in mirrors. She plops down the forest bed, leaning on the maple she named the worry tree. After wondering what to do for a minute, I sit down too, 3 feet apart from her. CG? Nope, no CG. The forest envelops us in its embrace, and its stillness falls upon the two of us. We sit there without speaking for a long while. I can literally feel the time passing. Patches of sunlight litter through the small clearing in a pattern that echoes the maple canopies. One of them falls directly on me, warming me all the way to the bone. I wonder what I could do for myself, and maybe for Rin. For now, I just keep watching her from this distance. Sometimes she cranes her neck all the way back, so much that it looks almost painful, and stares up at the small patch of sky visible past the canopy of the worry tree. Sometimes she just stares blankly ahead, as if seeing something just beyond her reach. She keeps whispering to herself so quietly I can't even hear her, even though I'm sitting right next to her. I only see her lips moving, like she was in the middle of a distant dream. I realize that right now I no longer feel any of the intense loneliness I feel at night just before falling asleep. I might be more like Rin than I thought. I can either give up and stay submerged under the weight of all this crap in my life, or try to change myself for the better. Her decision is different, yet the same. And unlike her, I know for sure that I can't stay like this forever. I have to change. I'm not sure about this one. I don't want to be more like Emmy. She's really annoying. She's not a fun person. Well, she is a fun person. She's too fun. Yeah, Rin seems fine. Rin could probably do it, even though she seems to doubt herself. I have no doubts about her strength. She could do it, even if she can't. Makes me feel a little bit better to... Did I skip one? Nope. Makes me feel a little bit better, too, when I lean back against the tree, breathing out deeply as if for the first time in a long time. We stay that way in the small clearing until the angle of the sun changes and the chilly shadows deepen. No longer warm where we sit, we leave the forest, returning along the same path we took coming in. Doesn't seem like Rin has come to this decision. Wonder if it was a bad idea for me to come along. That's alright, I don't mind. I'm sure the trees and dirt and rocks won't mind either. Did you mind? No, not at all. I think it helped me too. While we walk back towards the dormitories, the sky is changing to a deep ultramarine. The first summer stars twinkle softly from between spots in the canopy, barely visible like tiny fireflies. I become very self-conscious about Rin's presence. I haven't thought much about girls since things fell apart with Iwanako. This is kind of the same situation as then, but to be honest, that I don't think it counts for much, not with Rin. Yet it feels good walking next to her, even if it isn't anything more than this. First, I think Rin agitated me quite a bit with her unpredictable behavior, but recently I feel I haven't had to be on my toes so much. I've managed to let myself go a little. It makes me feel satisfied, even though ultimately I think it's more thanks to Rin than myself. She seems to be disinterested in a huge number of things, but something in her makes me try harder than I normally would. It's not that I want to impress her. I think that truly impressing Rin would take a near superhuman effort just because of how she is. Instead, it's because there is this relentless feeling inside of me that I shouldn't let Rin down. It's really weird. I wonder why I started thinking like that. I don't even know what sort of expectations she has about pretty much anything. So how could I let her down? Rin has this unassuming air around her, and she doesn't really talk about stuff very often. Even today's confession of her self-doubt caught me a little bit off guard. I feel like I want to talk more with her. Realization suddenly dawns on me that Rin is basically the only person I talk to nowadays, apart from whatever I have to endure from Shizune, Misha, or Kenji. I feel slightly depressed. You didn't even mention Emmy in that. In front of the dormitories, as if summoned by my dark thoughts, we run into Kenji himself. Outside? Oh man. It feels very odd. Yeah, exactly. Very odd seeing him outside, breathing fresh outdoor air. At least it's already dusk. I partially expect Kenji would disintegrate upon direct exposure to the sun. Kenji himself seems very insecure as well, standing around looking like he's waiting for something, but doesn't know himself what it might be. Hey Kenji, what are you doing? Hello. Who are you? It's me, Hizawa. I'm not sure if you know Tezuka from class 3-4. From his face, I can see that not only he doesn't know her, and he also can't see her from this short distance. Oh, sup, dudes. Kenji sticks his hand enthusiastically forward, almost straight into Rin's stomach. Rin looks at his outstretched hand in confusion until Kenji clears his throat and retracts the hand. There's something almost cool that he manages to do with social awkwardness. It's not like I'm the most suave man on the planet, but I don't think I'll ever be able to even approach Kenji's level. I think I can respect Kenji a little bit more. So, you're waiting for someone? He leans closer and lowers his voice to an agitated whisper. I see his facial muscles twitching. Come on, man, you know I can't talk about stuff here in public. They might be listening. I'm gonna have to go pick up some stuff from somewhere, and I don't want those snooping student council hags to get on my case. Also, I don't trust your friend. Nothing personal. Are you sure he's trustworthy? I briefly considered telling Kenji about Rin's gender, but as it might end up badly for one or both of them, I decide against it. Yeah, I'm sure. He turns from me to Rin, and I immediately get the feeling that I have to prevent them from talking to each other with whatever means necessary. However, there is little I can do now apart from physical violence. In that case, would you be interested in knowing about the worst threat to mankind since they invented vegetarianism? He sounds like a vacuum cleaner salesman. I thought it was Sunday. I see you're not in the know. Yeah, man. I'm talking about man-eating cows here. Very few people know what I know, so I'm not surprised. We can't talk here, but if you'd like a pamphlet, come to my room after curfew on Mondays or Wednesdays. He suddenly reaches to his pocket and draws out a ballpoint pen and what looks like a convenience store receipt. Kenji furiously scribbles on the scrap of paper and then thrusts it towards Rin. Here's the password. Memorize it and then eradicate any trace of this document. Eat it, burn it, solve an asset, whatever. I take the receipt from Kenji as Rin is unable to do so, and glance at it. It's indeed a receipt, apparently for 2 rice balls and 5 boxes of matches. I hope he is not planning to burn anything down. On the other side is written just one word. Honey muffin. I show it to Rin too, but she shows no reaction. Thank you. Yo, Ozawa, you still in that club? The Club of Dark Arts? Fine art. Anyway, yeah, just had a meeting today. Still got your witch about you? No shady mind tricks going on? Nothing personal, man, but I have to be on top of things. Can't get caught with my pants down. Speaking of which, you should really take showers a bit later. Gotta respect that personal space. Nothing personal. Kenji looks around as if he heard something, then straightens his jacket. Okay, I gotta scoot now before it's too late. Later, dudes. Good luck. Kenji takes off rapidly towards the main gate. Rin looks after him, frowning. We watch after Kenji's diminishing figure in silence. What's wrong with him? Technically speaking, I think he's legally blind. Oh, I see. That scene ended kind of suddenly as well. I can immediately tell from the envelope that it's not about official matters of any sort. Someone actually wrote me an old-fashioned handwritten paper letter. Who bothers doing something like this in this day and age anyway? Yet as unlikely as the prospect of receiving one sounds, there's definitely a letter lying on my desk. The classes for the day are over, still feeling pretty full from the big lunch that I had unexpectedly eaten at the cafeteria. I return to my dorm, planning on finishing my homework and probably skipping dinner, or at least just eating light. I feel like I need to eat less than I used to. Maybe I don't use that much energy, now that I don't do much beyond reading. However, the letter on my desk has naturally caught my interest. It's the first piece of mail I received here at Yamaku, so I feel special, even if it wasn't something as rare as a handwritten letter. What causes me even more trepidation is the name of the sender, written neatly on the back of the envelope. Iwanako. Oh. I have no idea why she would write to me. I haven't been in contact with anyone from my old school since I transferred, and Iwanako was the last person I'd expect to want to write me a letter. Last time I saw Iwanako was terribly awkward, embarrassingly so. She came to my hospital room, peeled me an apple out of courtesy, and then we practically sat in silence for half an hour. She said goodbye and didn't look me in the eyes when she closed the door. Might have been a natural end to the series of visits that were probably pretty painful for both of us. Every time she visited me in the hospital, I wanted to talk to her, but something stopped me every time. Every time that I didn't speak made the next time even harder. Iwanako always had this aura of fragility around her, as if she'd shatter into pieces at the slightest disturbance. Initially, I think it might have been that delicacy that attracted me to her, but after what happened back then, it felt as if she really had shattered. She looked so sad that I didn't want to say anything that might upset her, and I never could figure out the right words to say. I told her that it wasn't her fault. She nodded, and I really think she understood that if it hadn't been that, then sooner or later something else would have made my heart give out. Yet she looked so hopelessly sad every time she opened that door and entered my room. So I never managed to say the things I wanted to say. In the end, that might have hurt her even more. Carefully, I opened the envelope and drew out the folded letter from within. Dear Hazao, how are you? I hope you are well and happy at your new school. Everyone here misses you. Almost all of our second-year class got put together in Class 31 for the final year, so we're pretty comfortable right from the beginning of the year. I'm sure you would have been assigned to this class as well. The mood among the third year seems to be very anxious about the final exams, even though they are so far away. Teachers are badgering us about it all the time, even Mr. Tachibana, who is, by the way, our homeroom teacher this year. Would you believe it? I was sure he'd retire after our second year, but here he is, nagging everyone about studying for exams. I think things like that are the main reason why the mood among the third years is so nervous. I must admit I'm somehow losing confidence in myself as well, even though I've always fared reasonably well in exams. It's so weird to think we are already seniors, isn't it? Time really has flown past. I wonder where it went. The new first years seem so young and somehow really innocent. I keep wondering if I was like them in my first year. I've been feeling nostalgic like this for the whole first trimester. There are other things I want to say. I'm writing to you because I felt there are things I should have said after the incident back in winter. I really regret that I wasn't able to say them in person. I have no excuse for it. The truth is, the times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I'm not talking about your health. You seem to become more distant and disheartened. It was natural after something like that happened, I'm sure, but somehow I got the feeling that you had given up on something back then. Happiness, maybe? I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most, even though I like you so much. At least now, finally, I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you not to give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I had just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now, the distance between us is also physical. It also feels more final somehow. I wonder if we will meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you're doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. After finishing reading the letter, I folded it like it was and placed it on my desk. I don't know what to think of this. I feel empty and confused. Why now, after all this time? Just yesterday I decided that I can't let myself stay like this, that I try to get on top of my own life. Reading this letter just reminds me of what could have been. Of course I wish I didn't have to be here. I'd want to be in the same class with Iwanako again. Maybe we could try to talk every day now and go on dates. My life didn't go like that. I didn't really need to be reminded of this. Iwanako needed to write this letter for her own sake, and I'm glad for her that she could, but it would have been better if I hadn't read it. Of course, she's right. I thought the same thing yesterday. I had fallen into a pit of depression, and now I have to try to climb out. I rip out a page from my notebook, and after a moment of thinking how to frame my words, write a short reply to Iwanako. I find it difficult to be really honest to her, but at least I try to appear somewhat convincing. I don't write her about Yamaku at all. I doubt she'll write me again, but I don't feel at all sad about it. I fold my own letter to her, as I have no envelope set next to Iwanako's. I'll mail it to her later. Then I lie back on my bed, looking at the monotone gray ceiling. A bird sings outside of my window, and a sudden gust of wind flutters my curtains. The summer afternoon feels still, as if time had stopped for a brief moment. Think about all the things I've lost and will never regain. That was a short day. Thus the languid days of mid-June pass by. I mailed my letter to Iwanako and received no reply. Having decided to ditch the old me, I started observing my fellow students even closer than I did before, hoping to understand how other people cope with their own issues. I started seeing things I didn't before, and it makes me wonder if I've been wrong twice. Superficially, everyone is abnormal, yet so strikingly normal that it shocked me at first. I admired the way my new schoolmates turned my prejudices around just like that, simply by being themselves. Now that I've gotten used to it, I begin noticing other kinds of tones in the people surrounding me every day. There's a soft, numb sadness all around me. I can see the effort everyone has to make just to get through the day, and how it weighs on their shoulders like it weighs on mine. Even the brightest smile is just slightly subdued, every outburst of annoyance just slightly dampened. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. I try to think what it means. What can I learn from others? I wonder if deep down everyone is as lost as I am. Is there even one person in here who has truly found peace? I start to feel doubtful about myself once again. I can't decide whether these people are happy, unhappy, or if they've just learned to cope and now live in an unfeeling limbo like I did all spring. I escape from these feelings into the towering piles of books I carry to my room from Yuko's sanctuary. After realizing that this will just shut me down even more, I start going to the art club's room more often, usually whenever I can. Rin too seems to spend more time in there than in her own classroom. I've often seen her totter towards the door at the very end of our corridor. That wooden door in the room behind it, smelling of paint and paper, seemed to mean more to her than the rest of the world combined. She says she has special permission to use the room, which I don't doubt at all. I don't think Nomiya would deny Rin anything. He seems to dote on her like an uncle upon a favorite niece. The object of his affection, however, has no favorites. She says she appreciates the teacher a lot for going the extra mile for her sake, but even when she says that, her expression is the same as always. It's as if she was talking about a particularly unremarkable rock that she saw the other day. I can't really figure out their relationship. Rin doesn't seem to let anyone close. I don't even think Emmy could say she's crossed the gap that seems to separate Rin from the rest of the world. I don't understand it. She seems so indifferent yet so passionate at the same time. Somewhere the school bell rings, the last call of the day. I realize I've been zoning out for who knows how long. Dazed, I sit up straighter, trying to look as inconspicuous as possible. The pungent smells of linseed oil and turpentine mix in my nostrils as I draw a deep breath. I feel drowsy and lightheaded. It's already this late and a few club members left early, so it's just me, Rin, the teacher, and two other girls who are also about to leave. Rin is sitting to my right, slowly working on a painting while I'm idling the time away. I don't think she realizes I've been watching her this whole time. With a nimble move of her delicate ankle, she dips the brush into crimson paint and presses it lightly onto the canvas. A stain spreads around as if the brush was bleeding. Her progress has slowed down to a crawl, but by now I've learned that this is dangerous for her technique, as the paint must not be allowed to dry before she's finished. It occurs to me that I am literally watching paint dry, and yet somehow I'm not feeling bored despite spacing out just now. Most of the time the art club is very relaxed and free-form. Apart from times when Nomiya gets really excited about some technique or style he wants to teach us about, everyone is free to pursue their own interests. Lacking one, I keep floating around without a direction. I try this and that, but nothing really leaves me with a deeper impression, not to mention I don't seem to have a special knack for anything. Well, I did get praise for my attempt at watercolors, and I felt pretty good about that myself, but that's it. So as to be expected, I joined the art club mostly on a whim after all. I'm thinking that maybe I should quit the club if it's going to be this pointless, but there's nothing really wrong with the pointlessness, and I can't exactly say I'm unhappy. Unsatisfied, maybe, but I've only myself to blame for that. As the pair of girls exit the room with a cheerful bye-bye, Nomiya stands up from his desk. His chair scoots back with a loud screech that breaks the harmony of this quiet afternoon. He taps a pile of papers with his hands twice against the tabletop in order to straighten them, then stretches his back. I have a faculty meeting to attend, so I can't stay. I'll have to do some paperwork later, so if you want to stay, we can talk then. Sorry about this. There are two people here, but he's really talking to only one of us. Nomiya spends extra hours of his time mentoring Rin after official club hours are over, and I'll bet he'd like to discuss his plan of getting Rin's art into the gallery a little more. It's alright, I think I'll probably be here. But it's not a big deal if I'm not. I don't really have much going on. Rin answers without moving her eyes from her work in progress. The tone of her voice is neither the polite kind expected when talking to a teacher, nor her usual monotone. So I won't need to send a search party if you aren't here? Yes, no thanks. I don't like to party. We can talk later. Good girl. Smiling, the teacher picks up the rest of his papers and makes his way to the door. I glance at the clock above it and then at my watch to double check. They're 3 minutes apart, but nevertheless the club's meeting time is over now. Rin seems intent on staying here to work on our piece while waiting for the teacher. Can't quite imagine what their one-on-one time would be like. Would they actually discuss anything? Rin is always so subdued in what she says, and when she does say something, it's difficult to understand what she's talking about. Maybe Nomiya just talks endlessly like he does at club meetings, letting Rin absorb what she will from his infinite well of art knowledge like a sunflower turning to face the glowing sun. Do you mind if I stay? I thought maybe I'd give watercolors another try. I blew out the excuse sort of accidentally, embarrassing myself. Rin doesn't take her eyes off her painting. Okay. I shift around in my chair, then get to fetching a cup of water, brushes, colors, and some paper. The sound of my footsteps invades the still afternoon air. Before starting, I try to recall what the teacher told us, an important philosophy of the medium. Working with watercolors means more working with water than working with color. I try to keep that in mind and dip my tiny sable brush into the water cup. I'm mixing yellow and blue, trying to capture the sunlit treetops outside of the window. The sun is low, so the yellows are more pronounced and everything looks darker. I still can't quite connect what I see with what my hand does with the paints, but it's a passable attempt for my level. After a while, I start losing my focus and move the paper aside, deciding to watch Rin for a while instead. That little while stretches first into a long while, then into a really long while. Rin paints, her entire being fully concentrated on the brush between her slender toes, and the painting coming to life one stroke at a time. She seems determined and yet at the same time relaxed, effortlessly moving the brush around, never hesitating. Colors meet and part, mix and cover each other on the canvas, bending to her quiet will. I don't know anything about composition, the structure, or any of that stuff, but I really like Rin's paintings. I like how she looks when she paints. As usual, the silence between us compels me to speak rather than merely wait for her to open up. She might end up saying nothing at all. Do you mind if we talk? I don't mind. I kind of wanted to ask more about why you get so weird about this thing the teacher wants to arrange for you. Rin picks up a tube of paint and squeezes it between her toes on a palette almost as easily as someone with opposable thumbs would. Taking up a brush again, she replies. A lot of things, and some not things, unthings. I don't think that's a word. Do you want to talk about it? I try to reach out to her clumsily, ignoring the embarrassing feeling of awkwardness. Rin keeps her focus on the painting, spreading more and more paint on the canvas, her lips forming a perfectly straight line as she concentrates on the job. Not really. Talking is hard. I mean, it's not hard, I'm talking even now, but saying the right things is really hard for me. No matter what, I just can't say the things I want. That sounds weird. It's true, I say all kinds of things that I don't really mean all the time, and sometimes I forget words and I use the wrong words. I haven't come up with new words for things I already have some. That's the worst thing. I get really nervous and everything comes out a mess, and even I don't really understand what I want to say. I think there's something wrong with me that makes it like this. Remember when I said I can only think of 4 things at the same time? I'd nod wordlessly. It's not really 4, I mean, it is 4, but everything else is also there kind of in the background, like being at an amusement park and a beehive at the same time, but that's not the point. I used to do better, like 6 or 7 things, I think so, at least. I feel like I'm becoming dumber. I think everyone has times where they feel like they can't say the right things. Like me, whenever I'm reading this, because I mess up the words all the time. But it's there all the time, stronger and deeper. Yeah, deeper is a good word. I like that word, deeper. It's that feeling of being underwater, maybe it's just art. The more I paint, the more words I forget. Maybe at some point I will forget how to speak completely. It feels like I'm slowly forgetting everything. Do you remember what you thought about 3 or 4 years ago? I don't. A long pause ensues, during which time seems to bend around itself, almost tying itself into a knot. I don't think I've ever heard Rin talk this earnestly for so long about anything before. It's like I'm fading away from the world. Rin's foot has stopped its work on the canvas, and she is staring at her painting, unmoving, as if gazing at some faraway horizon. Sunlight briefly glints in the corner of her onyx eyes. Onyx? I thought onyx was black. Something floats up into the top layer of Rin's being, and she lets out a long breath. Then she blinks and it's gone. Paintings stay behind. When I look at my old things, I remember what I was thinking back when I made them. They make me feel like I can be with all the past me's when I was a different me. I guess they are the proof of my existence. Oh. She uses the exact same words Nomiya used when she spoke to us of the nature of art. I didn't think Rin was paying any attention back then. I wonder if she was listening or whether she had heard the same passionate speech from Nomiya before. Either way, I feel overwhelmed. Boy, are you complicated. I would have taken up writing a diary. Her eyes quickly flickered in my direction and back to the painting, but she doesn't pick up the brush anymore. That's a great idea. Why didn't I ever think of that? Are you being sarcastic? What sarcasm? Oh, I don't call her on the joke, if it is one. At the moment Nomiya returns from his meeting, he waves to us a very melodramatic hello. Mildly surprised to see me here along with his pet student. Walking with a boisterous gait to his desk, he drops his papers on it. He picks up a handkerchief and cleans his glasses with incredibly meticulous care before walking over to us. Before he is within earshot of us, Rin says something to me in a quick, quiet voice. Change is the scariest thing in the world to me. And I seriously don't know if I want to change into a person who could do the thing the teacher wants me to do. I don't know if I could even, if I wanted to. Hello again? Hello, hello. What's going on? He smells a bit sheepishly looking at both of us with uninhibited interest. Nothing, we were just talking about that thing with your acquaintance in the gallery for Rin's work, sort of. Oh, any decisions? I look at Rin, who is trying to arrange the bothered expression on her face into something else. Oh man, that's 3 choices. Anyway, I don't think I have much else to say other than that you should go for it. Oh, you should go for it. Oh, yeah. I almost selected without saving. Not that it would matter, since I could just, scroll the mouse around to come back to this. Whew. Other than you should go for it. Because it will be exciting. It isn't like you to hesitate like this. You'd be wasting your talents otherwise. I don't actually know which one is a good one to use. I think I'll go for the middle one. This isn't like you told me that people should do things they can just because they can. And now you're being all wishy-washy yourself about something this important. I don't think I want to talk about this. I'm going. Oh, whoops. Alright, bye. Rin stands up and trots out of the room without saying anything more. I'm sorry, I think I made her upset. Haha, don't worry about it, she'll be fine, I'm sure. I'll talk to her later. Nomiya looks at me over his circular pink glasses, smiling sympathetically. You made friends with her then, Nakai? Well, something like that, I guess. Depends on how you look at it. To be honest, I'm not really sure. It's more like me and Rin just tend to hang around each other regularly, talking or not about something that more often resembles some twisted mockery of philosophy rather than normal everyday things that friends chat about. Well, that's all good, isn't it? You're a new student, and we should be promoting integration into the student body and such. I can't remember all the buzzwords they spew at faculty and Yamaku Foundation meetings, but that's how it is. Tezuka isn't the most social person around these parts either. Yeah, that's definitely true. So she's talked about my suggestion to you. Oh no, not really. Yeah, I think it's been more me pressing her to decide something. Maybe I shouldn't have. No, I'm sure it's fine. I'm too soft with her even when I shouldn't. I don't really know how to handle Tezuka. She's so independent and willful. Wonder if this is what every old geezer of an art teacher who got his hands on a young and fiery prodigy felt like. He chuckles ironically to himself a little bit, turning to face Rin's latest work, which she left drawing on the easel. Is that how you easel? I don't know how to pronounce that. She departed so abruptly that I wonder if she considers it finally finished. So let's see the painting then. He leans in closer, peering at the canvas. It draws you in, doesn't it? Nomiya stands back straight, his face a dreamy, nostalgic visage. I don't answer him, as he seems to be taking my agreement as a given. I sometimes stay here after hours just to look at Tezuka's paintings. She's really just prodigious, and at such a young age. I get shivers just thinking of what she could become with just a few more years of refinement. You ask what makes an artist, remember? This is it. They take a piece of the world and reshape it in their own image, metaphorically, of course. Looking at her makes you wonder what the world looks like through her eyes. It's a wonderful thing to be young and full of passion, the most extraordinary time of your life. You would do well to remember that, Nakai. Yes, sir. It's so silly. People always ask artists, where do you get your ideas? As if ideas were something sold at the market for pocket change. You can't explain inspiration. For people like Tezuka, it's like breathing. It's an instinct. I've met maybe 1 or 2 people with the same kind of raw potential, but no amount of potential will amount to anything if one doesn't work to realize it. It's practice, technique, skill. Draw for an hour every day for a few years, and even the most hopeless case can become a passable artist. Tezuka is not brilliant because she was born with natural talent for this kind of thing. She's brilliant because she works harder than anyone ever since she learned to hold a pen, most likely. And all of it with her feet, no less. Absolutely phenomenal. Silence finally lands in the classroom as Nomiya himself lets himself get drawn back into Rin's painting, gently murmuring acceptance towards the still wet canvas. What kind of things do you paint yourself? As if waking from a reverie, he looks at me, surprised at my talking to him. Oh, I don't, not anymore. I became an art teacher only after my career in that field came to an end. Now I just pass on knowledge to the next generation. The way Nomiya answers is curious, both giving and withholding information. I feel like asking more, but he cuts in before I get the chance. Now you should run along, my boy. It's almost dinner time, isn't it? Yes, sir. Have a good evening. You too. I quickly collect my stuff and step out into the deserted hallway, leaving the teacher alone with his musings. The weekend will be here soon. It's amazing how fast time flies here. I promised Emmy I'd join her for the celebration of her triumph at the track meet last week. That should be plenty of fun. Yeah, I think I made the wrong choice back there. I'm not sure which one would be the right one. Are you sure you want to go? The weather has been wonderful for all of June. Has finally taken a turn for the worse. The leaden clouds drooping over the town look worrisome, and the air feels heavy and still, just like before rain. The forecast says there's a 60% chance of rain this afternoon, and maybe this will mark the beginning of the rainy season. Of course I'm sure. I've been waiting for this all week. Emmy had planned a picnic at some nearby park with snacks aplenty brought from the convenience store, but with the weather this gloomy, it seems risky. I asked some other people to come too, but they didn't want to go because of the weather. We have to prove them wrong. Wrong how? You know, like how it always rains when you think it won't and when you think it will, it doesn't? Well, we'll go no matter what, so it's a win-win situation. I've been going without sweets for weeks because of practice for the track meet, but now I can splurge on anything I want. Nothing is going to stop me now. Wait a minute. Okay, I think I read that wrong, but whatever. I thought you were all about healthy lifestyle and stuff. Oh, is that what you understand? So little. There's not a single girl on this planet who doesn't love sweets. I don't like sweets. She doesn't count. Anyway, is this clear? Completely. We will go and eat our fill of sweets. Damn straight we will. Well, I didn't expect her to say that. I'm gonna have to work it off later, but it's so worth it. Emmy seems to be extremely determined about this. She is positively exhilarated, brimming with energy as always, but something seems special today. Looks like she can hardly stop herself from jumping up and down on the spot. Come on. I grasped the wooden handle of the umbrella I brought and started to follow the two girls who seem to have no qualms about leaving me if I keep daydreaming. My umbrella is really fancy, the old-fashioned kind with a curved handle and a metal spike at the end. It used to belong to my grandfather. Looks like an antique, but it's in really good shape, almost as good as new. It's really big, too. I remember how my grandfather, my grandmother, and I all fit neatly under it when a rainstorm caught us on an afternoon walk years ago, when I was 9 or 10. My grandparents are both gone now, but I still have the umbrella to keep me dry when it rains. We walk along the road leading down from the school towards the convenience store, the clouds casting their dark shadow down on us. The weather seems to be taking a turn for the worse, and I'm pretty sure I just felt a raindrop in my head. Didn't you guys think of taking umbrellas? It really looks like it'll rain. Rin looks at her limply hanging sleeves and shrugs her shoulders. I don't have one, besides, a little rain won't kill us. She pushes her chest out, looking very confident about that. We aren't made of sugar. I thought that's exactly what girls are made of, especially considering what you're planning to gorge yourself on today. She just sticks out her tongue in reply. The walk down from the school to the local shopping district is not a long one, but it's not very short either. It's all downhill, so our steps roll easily, but time stretches out nevertheless. Distance is right there in that gray area where you don't expect the trip to be quickly over with, but you aren't preparing for a long walk either. The trip is slightly too long to stay comfortably quiet the whole time, though the girls don't seem to mind. Rin walks calmly ahead, seemingly lost in thought. I'm kind of wary about starting conversation since the last time didn't end very well for either of us. I haven't exchanged a single word with her since then. Emmy, on the other hand, is way too happy about just walking. She seems to literally jump a little on every step, or skip over cracks, or balance on the edge of the sidewalk. Every now and then she comments on something, to which she replies in an automatic-sounding, nonsensical way that makes Emmy giggle a little. As we reach the bottom of the hill, the first raindrops begin to fall. I feel one hit the top of my head, and then two more hit my nose in quick succession. Oh, that was sudden. It's not one or two rain clouds anymore. The entire sky has turned shadowy gray, billowing rain clouds swirling right on top of us. Oh shoot, I guess we aren't going to have the picnic then. And what now? Maybe we could have a rain picnic, a picnic in rain. That sounds terrible. No, we'd all just catch a cold, and I don't like getting me or my snacks wet. I kind of like it, not the snacks part, though. Emmy considers our problematic situation for a moment while I open my umbrella and lift it up, trying to hold it so all three of us get covered. Hey, Zao, have you been to Shanghai yet? It's a cafe somewhere around here, right? I've heard of it. It's a nice place. Let's go there and wait out the rain. If it's just a really quick shower, we can still go for the picnic, and if it gets worse, we'll just order cake there instead. Neither Rin nor I have better ideas, so with Emmy taking the lead, we start walking briskly along a side street. The cafe is only a few blocks away, but even with the umbrella, we can't avoid getting slightly damp. The rain keeps coming down harder and harder. I like the sound of rain. Raindrops leave tiny dots on the black asphalt road, which then combine into bigger patches like pointillist artwork being made in front of our eyes in mere seconds. It's pouring heavily, drumming on the hoods of the cars parked on the sides of the street and already flowing in little creeks along the sidewalks. The yellow light shining through the rainwater streaming down the window looks very warm and inviting. Alright, well, I think I'm going to end it there. I'm probably going to start up Corpse Party if past end in the next video. So, yeah, I guess you can look forward to that if you care. So yeah, thank you for watching and goodbye.